Have you ever wondered what the best strategy is to get the most out of your Hourglass sessions, but always got mixed results when you ask streamers? Well, I'm here to settle the score and tell you exactly when you should be lowering your streak for your exact win rate.
It depends. Like for the commendation, most people vote it down after level 4. Once you get level 4, because the commendation for getting 4 wins.
Bro, was wicked. But it's time to lower a streak for XP. Probably like 5. Oh.
I would recommend you getting a 4 streak before lowering, but overall I would say, depending on how confident you are, you should keep the streak up as long as you can. If you can reach a 10 streak, that's great. If you can reach a 50 streak, that's great. If you can reach a 20 streak, even better. 20 is usually where me and DB lower to just secure the levels. Then you get, I think, 5 whole levels for lowering. But I would say try reach champion status.
If you're not too confident in PvP, every second one, and then restart the flag and the good flag, because 2 wins get you to level 5. You know, that's all you need.
Like normally when I like quote unquote grinded levels, we would go for like 10 or 20 streaks and then lower. But if you just want to get quick levels, then just do 4 and then lower. You get more for a champion streak.
Yeah, I would say whenever you're comfortable with it. Like if you would rather save the gold or make the gold off it in the rep. But I believe there's like some whole method to it. Is that what it is? Rotation is at 5.
If you're confident, go for 4 streaks. If you're not confident, go for 2 streaks.
It really depends. I mean, never is the best time to lower a streak for XP, but I find that like 5 is actually yeah. I find that 5 is usually like if you lower it at 4, it seems like there's a big jump between 4 and 5.
AKMK suds. If you're new, probably 2 or 4.
The best time to lower for your streak? Well, if you can win, don't lower it until you're done. But if you don't win and you want to turn it in, it'll be once you hit champion.
You lower it 4 to 6, right? I mean, that's when you... After 4, you get a lot more. And then after 6, it stops.
If you are comfortable doing PvP, then I'd say just keep the streak up. Or like maybe lower every 10. If you're not as comfortable with it, I'd lower every champion streak. So every time you get to a 4 streak. Just to maximize like the reputation, you know what I mean? That's what I would do.
One time and I was trying to catch this sloop.
Or 5.
Used them
my
both.
guess.
And I barely got close to them. And then they just anchored.
This honestly seemed like a pretty easy problem to solve at first, but the more I looked into it, the more difficult it seemed to be. I wanted to track the best time to lower in terms of gold, but also in terms of XP, because it can change based on your goals for the game. I started with gold because this had more easily accessible data to track. I thought the best way to track the data would be to take your win rate and take it to the power of n, with n being the streak you're going for. And this would mean, for example, if you had a 50% win rate, you'd have a 25% chance of getting a 2 streak if you look at every set of 2 games. This made sense to me and I ran with it for a little while, until I did some simulations to check the work. With that model, there would be 500 sets of 2 games and a group of 1,000 coin flip simulations, with a heads being a win and a tails being a loss. 25% of them would return 2 wins in a row, and 25% of 500 is 125. So I should expect 125 Hourglass lowers in this sample size, netting me 7.5 million gold or 7,500 gold per game on average. When I actually ran these simulations, I usually got around 160 or so lowers during this time. So I went back to check my data to see if I was doing it correctly. When I really thought about it, there are 4 potential outcomes for the set of 2 games. Loss-loss, win-loss, loss-win, and win-win. With this model, you only get the streak when you get 2 wins in a row. But what about when you lose and then win? You didn't get your streak, but you have a 50% chance of getting it on the next game. So I could tell there was something wrong. I started thinking about the problem differently. Instead of thinking, looking at any 2 games, how likely is it to be a 2 streak? I thought instead, how many coin flips on average does it take to get 2 consecutive heads? And what I found was a new formula, p to the power of negative n minus 1 divided by 1 minus p, where p is your probability and n is the number of games. So if we plug in 0.5 for p and 2 for n, we get 0.5 to the power of negative 2 minus 1 divided by 1 minus 0.5, which comes out to 3 divided by 0.5, or 6. This means, on average, every 6 matches, I would be lowering a 2 streak with a 50% win rate, instead of every 8. So, after 1,000 matches, I'd average 166 2/3 lowers, which aligns a lot better with my testing. This also makes a lot of sense, because if you're going for 2 consecutive heads, the options are heads, heads, resulting in your win 25% of the time, heads, tails, which is a loss 25% of the time, and 50% of the time you're going to lose right away with the tails. Now we can add up how many total flips it took to get these results. 2 for the win, 2 for the second round loss, and 2 times we would have had to start over after the first coin flip. So only 6 flips on average in total. Now that we have this formula and can base it off the win rate and the streak you're going for, we can take the inverse of this number to give us a percent of the time any given game will be the game where you're lowering your streak. We can take that percentage and multiply it by the gold earned from lowering at that specific streak to give you the average gold per game when going for those streaks. All you have to do now is find your win rate, plug that into the highlighted cell in my spreadsheet, and see which option will be the best for you. This is based off of lowering your streak and the bonus from your multiplier and lowering the flag. So, 1 streaks can be at a bit of a disadvantage because you usually end up at a level 3 or 4 flag after 1 fight. But for a lot of people, this is still the best option, because they don't have to risk losing their gold on the next fight. To find your win rate, you can go to seaofthieves.com, log into your account, click on My Pirate, then Captaincy, then Pirate Milestones, and then choose either the Guardian or the Servant. From there, you'll need to look at your battles completed, as well as battles won by seeking a foe, and the battles won by repelling a foe. Add together your battles won in both categories, then divide by battles completed. For example, at the time of writing this, I have 201 battles won by seeking a foe, and 6 won by repelling a foe, when battling for the servants. So I take my 207 battles won, and divide by my 264 battles completed, to give me a win rate of 78.4%. Plugging that into my spreadsheet gives me an average of 20,672 gold per battle when I lower every 2 streak. If I push it and go for 4 streak and go for commendations, I'd be giving up about 3,000 gold per match and will average 17,706 gold per game. So even if you have a pretty good win rate, going for a 4 streak in this case might not be the best option for you if you're focusing on gaining gold during Hourglass. Gold is all well and good, but what if you're going just for XP? This is a lot more difficult to figure out because you get a varied amount of XP per win, a small amount of XP per loss, and XP for lowering your streak. You also get XP for selling flags, but these can be done at any time for the same value, so it's always best to sell them whenever you get them, but then you have the option to keep your streak going if you would like. It's just up to you if it's worth your time to go to the outpost to sell the flags or not. To figure out the amount of XP earned, let's look at an example, then come up with an equation. Let's think again about having a 50% win rate and the XP you would gain for going on a 3 streak. If you successfully get a 3 streak, you gain the XP from each of the 3 wins, we'll call them X1, X2, and X3, as well as lowering the flag bonus that we'll call B for bonus. Well, what about getting 2 wins and then a loss? You have an equal chance of that happening. In that case, you'd earn X1, X2, and a loss, which we'll call L. You're then twice as likely to end going 1 win and then 1 loss. And since it's twice as likely, from this you will earn 2 times X1 and 2 times L. Then, finally, you're 4 times more likely to just lose after your first match, or 4L. Adding all these together, we have B plus X3 plus 2X2 plus 4X1 plus 7L. This makes sense because that's a total of 14 games, or what we should average if we use our equation for how many coin flips on average it does take to get 3 consecutive heads, so it checks out. To find the average XP per game, we take the value of all the XP added together and divide it by the number of games, or 14 in this case. So now we just need a formula for the number that we're multiplying our XP by. We will always have one B and one X sub N. Since it's all based on how many wins you're going to have for one lower, you're always going to lower with one bonus and one final fight. Then our 2x2, in this case, is the same as 1x2 divided by our win rate, since dividing by 0.5 is the same as multiplying by 2. Going along with this, 4x1 is the same as x1 divided by our win rate squared. And then our losses, which we have 7 of, will be written as L divided by our win rate to the power of n, in this case 3, minus L, because every run will end in a loss except for the one where you met your goal and were able to lower, so you have to take one loss away. Finally, the number you divide by will just be the value you get from the equation from earlier, p to the power of negative n minus 1 divided by 1 minus p. And we can extrapolate that out for each n streak value, all the way to n equals 10. For n equals 10, we're going to end up with the equation b for our bonus plus 1x10 plus x9 divided by r plus x8 divided by r squared plus x7 divided by r cubed plus x6 divided by r to the fourth plus x5 divided by r to the fifth plus x4 divided by r to the sixth plus x3 divided by r to the seventh plus x2 divided by r to the eighth and plus x1 divided by r to the ninth, and then finally plus L divided by r to the 10th minus L. Take all that and divide it by G, where G is equal to the number of games played on average that we got from our equation from earlier. I put all of this info into my spreadsheet, then I got stuck. I didn't have a reliable way to figure out how much XP was being earned from each win, or from lowering at each streak. I tried to measure some of these by taking photos of my levels before and after each different action, and trying to measure the angle to get the percentage gained. This somewhat worked, but I lost motivation after getting all of my info up to a 5 streak. Knowing what I know now, it would have taken me an average of around 150 more games to track the last streaks I needed. But even then, this isn't really a perfect scientific method. Then I saw a video that had actual XP values for every action in Hourglass by David SOT on YouTube, link below. Apparently there was a bug in the Sea of Thieves website that allowed you to see your exact XP values for each action, and thus they were able to track the data on each action by looking at the change before and after. You guys should check it out, it's an interesting video. I didn't track this data myself, so I don't know if it's perfect, but it lined up fairly well with what I was getting as my results. I was able to use this data to fill out my chart all the way to the 10th streak and finally calculate how much XP you can earn for each streak based on your win rate. Plugging in my win rate of 78.4%, it would be optimal for me to go for 6 streaks, which came as a surprise. I usually go for 2 streaks for gold or 4 for commendations, which is echoed by a lot of the streamers. But apparently it's slightly better for me to go for 6 if I'm just going for XP. Although, the differences in XP gains weren't as great as I had thought. But thinking about it, it does kind of make sense. Unlike gold, where you have to bank to get any gold at all, you do get benefits from staying on your win streak for XP, even if you lose before banking. This is because you can gain a max of 52% of a level just for winning your 5th or more match in a row, instead of the usual 42% you gain from a single streak plus lowering it. So, if you can get wins semi-consistently, it's pretty good going for longer streaks. Since there isn't too big of a change between going for different streaks, I think the best strategy is just go lower whenever you're close to an outpost, or need to resupply after a fight. It really doesn't make all that much of a difference. I would only recommend going for 4 streaks specifically if you need it for the commendation. In fact, if you have a 50% win rate, it is best practice to lower after every win, gaining an average of 23.8% of a level per game, win or loss. However, if you're going for 10 streaks, which you won't get very often at all, you're still going to gain an average of 21.5% of level per game. You will almost never be able to go lower your streak, but you will get the benefit of more XP per win when you get a solid streak going. So if all you care about is XP and don't want to waste time going to an outpost to lower all the time, you can just keep diving and get pretty much the same XP gains. If you don't want to find your exact win rate and plug it into the sheet, you can estimate your win rate and then use this chart to tell you when to lower. For gold, if you have a 0 to 44% win rate, you should lower after every single win. For 45 to 87%, you should lower after every 2 streak. So for pretty much everybody, you should just be banking after 2 if you're trying to go for gold. If, however, you have a win rate between 88 and 90, it's actually best to lower every 5 streak. 91 to 93% every 6 streak, 94% every 7 streak, 95 and 96 is an 8 streak, and then 97 to 100% is a 10 streak or greater. For XP gains, it's a little bit different. You want to lower every win with a 0 to 54% win rate, 55 to 58% every 2 streak, 59 to 66% every 4 streak, 67 to 75% is every 5 streak, 76 to 81% every 6 streak, 82 to 85 every 7 streak, 86 to 88 every 8 streak, 89 or 90% is every 9 streak, and if you have a 91% or greater win rate, go for a 10 or greater win streak. So in the end, think about what your goals are in Hourglass. If you want gold, if you want XP, if you want a balance of both, or if you're just combination only, it can change the way you play. Don't listen to random comments online about what is the best for everybody, because it all depends on your win rate. And most people don't know how to calculate what is best in the first place. And like I said, for XP, depending on your win rate, there really isn't that much of a difference between going for different streaks. So you don't need to listen to any hard and fast rules saying you have to lower every 2 or every 3 or every 4. If you really want to min-max, go for what the calculator says. But again, if you don't want to waste time going to an outpost all the time, just keep diving. If you like this form of content, subscribe, check out my main channel, which also covers data, charts, and graphs, but it's about Overwatch. I'll link it in the description. Hope you guys all have a great day. Peace out.